In July 2004, the country fired every traffic policeman it had, all 15,000 of them, in one summer. Then it went a whole month with no traffic police at all. No patrols, no traffic regulation, nothing. And by the accounts of the people who were there, nothing much got worse.
So they never needed police in the first place.
That is the argument I want to take apart, because it is the wrong lesson and it is the popular one. The people who lived through that month said the same thing and then explained why. There was almost nothing left to get worse. The man who did this could do it because nobody could stop him. 8 years later, nobody could stop him from something else either. It is the same lever, and you do not get to choose which way it pulls. I am the one in the cap. I count the things governments would rather you did not count. Today we are counting what concentrated power actually costs using the country that ran the experiment. Georgia, 2003. Not the American state, the country. 2.3% of Georgians said anything positive about their police. 2.3. There was one police officer for every 78 citizens. Their official salary was under $50 a month, and they mostly did not receive it. It went into a superior's pocket, and officers were expected to earn their own money on the road, which they did. The senior official put it plainly: you could not drive 10 kilometers without a few traffic policemen stopping your car and asking for a couple of dollars, for a couple of
Then firing them is obvious. Why did nobody do it earlier?
Here's my favorite fact in this whole story. Nobody knew how many police there were. Estimates of how many people lost their jobs run to about 16,000. Even the ministry's own leadership did not know the real number, because neither the police ministry nor the security ministry kept a central list of who worked for them. They had not been paid. They had not been given cars. They had not been given fuel. So nobody had bothered to write them down. You cannot reform an institution one person at a time when you cannot count the people in it. So it was not reformed. It was deleted. Saakashvili announced it as his personal decision and took complete responsibility for it. Then he promised a replacement by the end of the following month, August 2004. The new patrol police opened at about 2,500, 15,000 out, 2,500 in. Only 15% of that first intake had ever been police. The rest had never done the job in their lives, and that was on purpose. Wages went to over $200, and they were paid into an account instead of handed down through a superior. 4 years later, they started building the police stations out of glass. 80 of them, walls you can see straight through. It is a symbol. It is also a room where it is physically awkward to take a bribe.
Fine, it worked. Where's the argument?
It did work, and I am not going to move that out of the way because it is inconvenient. Survey Georgians now about police and bribes, and the number that comes back is about 1%. 1. They trust the police more than they trust the government that built them. 81% against 56. Over the next 12 years on Transparency International's corruption index, the country went from 124th out of 133 to 48 out of 168. And in 2008, the voters looked at all of this and re-elected him comfortably.
So he was right, and everyone who warned about him was wrong. Where's the problem?
Now the part that was happening at the same time. Between 2003 and 2010, the prison population grew by 300%. In 2005, the average sentence handed down by a criminal court was 1 year. By 2008, it was 5. By 2012, Georgia was in the top 5 countries on earth for the share of its own people it kept locked up. Done at the very same speed as the reform and with the very same absence of anyone able to say no. 2 weeks before a parliamentary election, opposition channels put out video from prison number 8 in Gldani. Guards beating prisoners, guards raping prisoners. The country went into the streets. The interior minister resigned, saying he took moral and political responsibility for the fact that torture had not been eradicated. And here's what the president did about it. He suspended the entire prison staff and sent the police in to replace them. The exact same move. Delete the institution, start again. The thing that let him remove 15,000 police in one summer is the thing that let 8 years of this go on unseen. One man deciding alone with nobody in a position to stop him. He used the lever to fix it. Then the lever kept working. One thing before the point. If you're still here, you're the kind of person who wants the number and not the slogan. Subscribe and the next count finds you on its own.
So the lesson is never concentrate power.
No, the lesson is that it is one lever and it does both, and nobody gets to pick. On the 1st of October 2012, he lost 85 seats to 65. He accepted it. Since October 2021, he has been in a Georgian prison on sentences totaling around 12 and a half years. He has spent much of it in the prison hospital. The system he built, 3 times fuller than he found it, with him inside it. One more thing, and it is why I picked this story. The man whose party beat him was the richest man in the country. His fortune was worth roughly a quarter of Georgia's entire economy, made in Russian banking. For years, the press called him the man who ran Georgia without holding any office in it. Another small European country did the same arithmetic out loud. Its prince owned the bank holding much of the national wealth. And in 2003, 64% of its citizens voted to give him more power. In Georgia, the vote worked. It removed him. And then the country was run for years by a man who never stood in it. That's the direction I mean. Not that the votes do not count. That counting them is not the whole map. So when somebody tells you a strong hand fixed a broken country, ask the harder question. Not whether it worked. Ask what else that hand was free to do while nobody could stop it. And if this one was worth your time, the like button is the one vote here that nobody can delete.